Ah, green tea. You hear about it all the time, right? It's everywhere. In health drinks, skincare, you name it. But what's the real story behind all the hype? Okay, let's get into it and separate the actual science from the wishful thinking.
You've probably heard this exact phrase before. It's a huge claim, and it's what gives green tea this incredible reputation. It's sold to us as this super simple, daily habit that could unlock all these amazing health benefits.
And that right there is the big question, isn't it? When we actually push past the headlines and dig into the research papers, what do we find? That's what we're going to do right now. We're just going to follow the data.
So to really understand any of the potential benefits, we first have to figure out what's in the cup that makes green tea so special in the first place. It all comes down to its unique chemistry.
Okay, so the magic really begins with these little compounds called catechins. Now, you can think of them as your body's personal security guards at a cellular level. They're kind of an antioxidant, and their whole job is to protect our cells from damage. And guess what? Green tea is absolutely packed with them.
And among all these catechins, there's one that's the undisputed star of the show. It's called epigallocatechin 3-gallate. Yeah, I know, it's a mouthful. So we're just going to call it ECGC. This is the most powerful and plentiful antioxidant in green tea, and it's the specific compound that nearly all of the health claims are tied to. It's the one scientists get really excited about.
All right, let's start with the stuff you might notice more quickly, the short-term effects. What does the research say about the benefits we could see pretty soon after making green tea a habit? This is where things get really interesting.
So remember those catechins, especially our star player EGCG? Well, one idea is that their antioxidant power helps shield our brain cells from stress. And get this, a 2020 study put an incredible number on it, suggesting that drinking green tea regularly was linked to a 64% lower chance of cognitive impairment in middle-aged and older adults. Wow, that is a huge number.
So how exactly does that work? Well, it seems to be this amazing team-up between two compounds. You've got caffeine for that classic alertness, and then this other compound called L-theanine, which helps promote a feeling of calm focus. But, and this is a big but, as promising as all this sounds, scientists are really clear on this point. We need more top-notch human studies to really lock this in as fact.
Now let's look at another pretty wild statistic, this one about body composition. A study in 2022 found that drinking 4 or more cups of green tea a day was connected with a 44% lower chance of abdominal obesity.
But hold on, before you get too carried away, the researchers pointed out a super important detail. That impressive 44% number, it was only statistically significant for the women in the study. And this is a perfect example of why we have to read the fine print in this kind of research. Okay, so we've seen the short-term boosts, but what about the long game? Could green tea really act like a shield, protecting our bodies over decades? This is where the claims get even bigger, but the evidence, well, it gets a little bit messier.
Let's take cancer risk. On one hand, you have the promise. Some studies have linked green tea to a lower chance of getting specific kinds of cancer. But then you look at the reality. The big picture is just mixed. A major review in 2020 basically concluded that scientists just can't say for sure that it has any real effect on your overall cancer chances. And we see a really similar story when it comes to heart disease. The promise is that, hey, maybe green tea helps lower things like blood pressure. And some studies do hint at that. But the reality is we're missing consistent long-term proof from human clinical trials, the gold standard of research. Without more of those, it's just a promising link, not a proven cause and effect.
But then, when we shift over to longevity, the data gets fascinating again. Big studies that just observe large groups of people over time have found some incredible patterns. Like this chart shows, a huge study in Japan found that folks drinking 5 or more cups a day had a lower risk of death. And that second bar, that's a 2021 study that linked 7 cups a day to a staggering 62% lower risk of death. Just amazing.
All right, after seeing all those big, exciting numbers, we really have to pump the brakes and have a little scientific reality check. Because if you read through all the research, there are some really important warnings that pop up again and again.
When you dig into it, the word you see a lot is inconclusive. For example, the effect on appetite hormones for weight loss? Barely there. Long-term blood sugar? The data is all over the place. And all that stuff about it being great for your teeth and oral health? Turns out most of that research wasn't even done on people. It was in a lab or on animals. The bottom line is always the same. We need more solid human research.
And this right here is just a perfect example of how complicated this all is. While some studies hint that green tea could protect the brain, a 2023 study found that drinking an extreme amount, I'm talking 13 or more cups every single day, could actually increase the chance of Alzheimer's. It's such a powerful reminder that more is not always better.
So, after going through all of that, the good, the bad, the complicated, what's the real takeaway? What are we supposed to actually do with all this information? Well, if you look through all the mixed evidence, a little pattern does start to show up. Over and over again, the studies seem to suggest that the sweet spot for seeing these potential health benefits is somewhere in the range of 3 to 5 cups per day. That seems to be the moderate amount, where the good stuff is most often reported.
And so we land on this final question. Is the evidence a slam dunk? No, it's not, but it is consistently promising. While a cup of green tea is definitely not some magic potion, the science does seem to suggest that making it a regular habit, well, it just might be one of those simple things that could tip your health in the right direction over the long run.